Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. What if I told you the only thing standing between you and your next big opportunity is your voice? This isn't just another program. Empower Your Message is your ticket to becoming the podcast guest everyone wants. You'll learn how to craft a pitch that gets a hell yes, show up with unshakable confidence, and drop truth bombs that leave hosts and audiences wanting more. No more playing small. No more waiting for permission. It's your time to be heard. Loud, clear, and unforgettable. Visit the link in the show notes to sign up, and let's make your voice impossible to ignore. The mic is waiting. Are you ready? Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast, a platform that was created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest is Georgia Vanderville. She is an award-winning entrepreneur, a best-selling author, a TEDx speaker, and she's known for her international work with youth as well as with the women-owned small business community. She's also the owner and founder of Shortie's Candle Company. How you doing, Georgia?
I'm absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Brad, for having me. This is really fun.
It is awesome to have you here. We've been trying to get this done for a while, so now we are finally here to dive in and share all of the beautiful magic that you put out into the world through all the work you're doing. Thank you so much for taking and making the time to be here with me today. I am so excited to jump right in. So with that being said, let us do just that. So I'm curious, what inspired you to create Shortie's Candle Company, and how did your just cause for mental health, because you also work in mental health, how did your just cause for mental health become the heart of your business?
Oh, such great questions. Let's see. How did we start? Our beginning, we start in some of the most unlikely ways, in my opinion. And when I was 15 years old, I overflowed the bathtub. And this horrid smell came out of the carpet. And before my parents got home and murdered me, I had to fix this smell. So I took the bus into the city. I bought a scented candle, brought it home. I spent my life savings on this scented candle. And it was going to do the trick. So I lit this candle, and I let this candle just burn and melt and do its thing. And it smelled like nothing. No smell came from this poor little candle. And so I thought scented candles were just this idea, and they would just smell in the jar. So then at 21, I met this boy, and who is now my husband, by the way. But I met this boy, and it was almost Christmas when I met him. And so he needed a Christmas gift. I didn't have any money to buy him a Christmas gift. So I was talking to my friend, and she said, hey, why don't you make him a candle? And in my mind, I didn't think a candle was worth anything because of my experience at 15. But I thought I can afford a little bit of something. So I made him a candle. And after Christmas, when we burnt it, it smelled incredible. And it blew my mind. And I had just invented scented candles. So I had to bring them out to the world, and everything just had to continue to move forward. So that was really our grassroots beginning, was just recognizing that I had done something that I honestly didn't think anybody else had ever done before me.
And so how did your just cause for mental health become the heart of the business?
When you're an entrepreneur, there are so many things that come to light. You don't understand where you are. Excuse me, let me back up. I didn't understand where I was, and I didn't know who I was. And I could see myself as just a little girl making a candle, and it wasn't that big of a thing. To be honest with you, when I went to go get a business license, they said to me, what's your business name? And I said, I don't know, just call it Candle. And she's, I can't do that. I need a fictitious name. And I'm like, what do you mean? She said, I need you to go away, figure out a name, go get your fictitious name certificate, and then you can bring that back to me. This was 23 years ago. We didn't do anything online. Everything was done in front of somebody standing in the line for 6 hours.
Yeah.
So I went and I had to figure that out. And my nickname was Shortie. It's now definitely Shortie. That was where it came from. I'm 5 foot tall, but I wasn't planning on creating a business. So I didn't have a just cause back then. I was just playing around and I was just doing something to make other people happy. And inside of that happiness is fragrance. Fragrance can help create that happiness inside of you. And I really recognized what that was. And I now call it a fragrance flip. But when my son was in 3rd grade, so he's 8, he's a little 8-year-old, he's now 13. We've been in business for a long time. And I didn't know the true benefit of what fragrance could do and what it could help us with. But I was driving I picked him up, and when I get to his school to pick him up, his teacher at pickup tells me how he's just this awful child, ruins her classroom, doesn't like him. Blah, blah. Yeah. That was just my interpretation of what she said. Maybe she just said, your child disrupted class today. But that was not what I heard. I heard a whole slew of other stuff. Driving home, I just destroyed this little boy. He's sitting in the passenger seat, and I'm like, you were a bad kid in school today, and you're going to lose every electronic piece you've ever had. And I just destroyed this. And as we're getting home, I'm about to take everything from him. I'm walking inside. He's running behind me. Mom, no, please, no. I'm like, you're going to die. And so my husband had lit a candle while we were, and this smell hit me, and it stopped me in my tracks. And I literally just stopped at the front door, and I went, what am I doing? No. And I looked down at him, and I said, buddy, I'm so sorry. Go to your room. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Just let me calm. And I was able to redirect my thoughts and my actions and my reactions because of fragrance. And I realized how important that is for our mental health. And that is really where the start of the mental health concept even started to come into us. I knew we helped with happiness in some form, but I didn't know how powerful fragrance was, and until this idea of the fragrance flip. And it didn't come to me like that. I wasn't like, hey, go to your room, kid, fragrance flip. That came over time.
Yeah, for sure.
But I knew that we were working with mental health.
That's a powerful shift and a powerful realization.
Thank you.
So, Georgia, what drives, motivates, and inspires you to keep going and excelling at all that you do?
That's a great question, too. I think it's having something bigger than myself to keep going. So we had this lady in Plantation, Florida, and she called one day, and her name was Deborah. I won't say her last name because then people look her up. But she called one day, and I didn't know who she was, but this was years and years ago. And she said, hey, I'm really having a problem with headaches. Now, I'm not sharing this story as like a medical diagnosis or a medical solution or anything, but I'm just sharing the story because this is what happened. But she called and she said, hey, I'm really having headaches. I've heard that peppermint can help. I really need some help. And she said, I've tried every other peppermint item on the planet. I found your guys' peppermint candles online. I'm going to try it. So I'm like, please work. She's telling me that she's not going to try anything else afterward. We ship her these candles. They arrive to her, and she calls me in tears. And she says, for the first time in forever, I don't have a headache.
Wow.
Okay. And she said, promise me that you will forever make this candle for me. And I promised her. And this was before 2008 when the economy crashed. So when the economy crashed, we were in a warehouse, and we had to close that warehouse and move back home to our shop we had built on our property. And I remember standing in the garage one day with my head in my hands, just bawling my eyes out, just not sure of what we were doing. And this conversation with Deborah came back to me, and I said, okay, I get it. I'll keep going. And so that just having something bigger than yourself, really to have that reason to keep going.
That is a beautiful story and so powerful. The fact that the peppermint scented candle helped her with her headaches, and that is definitely a driving force to keep going. Knowing that you're making a difference in someone's world is huge.
Yes. And now every once in a while, it's so fun because I'll get to answer the phone. Like the phone will ring and no one's back by the phones. And I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And I'll pick it up. Thank you for calling Shortie's Candle Company. This is Georgia. How can I help you? And nobody even knows that it's me. They have no idea who I am. They're just like, the girl answering the phone, thanks. And I answered the phone the other day and I told this one lady about eucalyptus and we're sitting there chatting about it. And she goes, honey, I know Shortie's candles. I've been buying Shortie's candles for years. And I was like, oh, I love you. But I wasn't like, I'm Shortie. You're awesome, lady.
That's amazing and beautiful. Now, I want to continue on this direction with the conversation around mental health. I want to bring that back in and entrepreneurship for a minute, because I think this conversation is incredibly important. How do you see the connection between entrepreneurship and mental health? And what challenges do you think that business owners face in terms of prioritizing their well-being and mental health?
Wow, that's a very powerful question. I think that managing and prioritizing your mental health is one of the most important things that there is. And it is also the hardest thing because it means focusing on yourself. When as an entrepreneur, you're focusing on everybody else. You're thinking about how the product will help them, how you can connect with them, how you can figure out who your customer is. You have so many other things that focus on everybody else that you don't focus on you. But I think that focusing on yourself is the key, especially to business growth. And that's my personal belief. Can I share a really personal story?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
In 2014, we had been in business at that point for 12 years. And I had two little boys. I had a 2 and a 3-year-old, and I wasn't prioritizing me at all. And I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't being kind to myself. I basically didn't care about myself. And I cared about myself in the fashion of I'd take a shower and I'd floss and brush and I'd do those things. But I was sleeping for 2 or 3 hours a night, and I put everybody else in front of me. And one morning, it was May 31st of 2014, and I'm sitting there talking to this lady, and I'm interviewing her for a job. And in the middle of this interview, my brain started to have an issue. And I sent her home in the middle of it. In the middle of the interview, I just was like, and I couldn't remember our conversation. I just said, thank you so much. And I knew why she was there. So I just ended it. I said, thank you for coming. I'll get back with you. And then she left, and I went inside. And we were on our property at this point. And I went inside. My husband was asleep. My kids were asleep. And I told him, I said, something just happened with my brain and I'm really scared. And he said, it's okay. You're just tired. Just come back to sleep. And he pulled me down into him. And I slept until the tears woke me up. And I walked across the house. And when I walked into the bedroom, it shocked me because there were 2 babies in there. And I only remembered one. And then over the next few days, I had a hard time operating. I couldn't remember where things were in the kitchen. I couldn't remember how to drive my car. And I'd been an American Sign Language interpreter for 4 years. I remembered one sign. Sorry.
Jeez.
And everything else was just gone. I've rebuilt it, but it took a long time to get there. I haven't rebuilt everything, but in that right there, that was the start of this journey to understanding who I was as an individual, seeing different aspects of how when we improve who we are and when we learn and we grow and we start to apply some of the lessons we learn to ourselves, that everything improves for us. And when things improve for us, that it improves outside of us as well. And that's when our companies can grow, when we grow internally. And it's really hard to say, oh, I need to spend my 15 minutes of meditation every morning. And I need to go and learn this one idea. And I need to dive into this when it's not just centered around your business. But it's so interesting that when we do spend that time, that the ideas are coming to you that do help you in your business as well.
For sure. It's very important to put ourselves first, but because of all the conditioning and all the other things that we've been taught and learned growing up, and that it's selfish to put ourselves first and you need to put everyone else above you. And I think this is a huge thing for women, particularly, that women struggle with. It's interesting because I saw a clip online yesterday. This woman was talking about a clip on Instagram that she saw, and it was a mother and a daughter. Daughter was, I think she said, about 10 years old. And they asked the daughter, what is your favorite thing? What do you love most about your mom? And the 10-year-old said, I love that she puts everybody else before herself. And it's holy shit, that speaks fucking volumes, because this is what this kid is growing up thinking is the right thing to do. And she's seeing her mother. So guess what? She's going to do that too. She's going to embody that. And so it really, we need to talk about this more around entrepreneurship, around mental health, and around putting ourselves first, because it's not selfish. It is the right thing to do, because as you said, when we do that, it not only benefits us, which of course is the most important piece, is that it benefits us, but it also benefits everyone else around us, our families, our businesses, our friendships, our relationships, absolutely everything. But to hear that a 10-year-old girl thinks that this is an amazing thing and it's her favorite thing that she loves the most about her mom, that's heartbreaking, because she's seeing her mom model this behavior that is not good for her
And she's
and thinks it's good.
mind. And
Yes,
she's going, oh,
exactly.
how can I help everybody else?
Yeah,
Good to help everybody else. That is such an incredible trait. And our
sure.
mom probably means so much to so many
Yeah.
other people. But we don't know what's going on inside a mom's head, because there's nothing for mom. If you were to go
Yeah.
and you were to say, hey, what's something you like? She'd say, oh, I don't know, but kid 1 likes this, kid 2 likes this, kid 3 likes husband likes this, next door neighbor likes this, everybody
Yeah.
else likes these things. But mom doesn't know what she likes.
It is. It's a very important conversation that I think we need to have more of, because conversation is the catalyst for change. That's how we're going to move the needle on that particular thing, is just to continue to talk about it, have discussions around it. So thank you for sharing that, Georgia.
Of course.
With that being said, then what are some daily practices or habits that have helped you maintain your own mental health and well-being while running a business?
Key number 1 would be meditation. It's
Okay.
every single morning having a meditation that I do. And sometimes there's different types of meditation. You've got simple meditation, you've got all different forms. So it's not just, I actually did one meditation. It was called the 6-phase meditation. Anybody can look it up online. I did that meditation specifically for probably 6 years in a row. Every single morning, I just did it. I didn't recognize that there were other meditations, and I'm really glad that was the one I did, because it was such a strong foundation. And
the 6-phase meditation, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just the 6-phase meditation.
Okay.
And you can find it on YouTube. And I thought it was an incredible meditation. And then for me personally, I love to be outside. So whether that's going for a run or going for a walk, or one of those two, either going for a run or going for a walk. And I typically have my dog with me, and then we just go and go outside. But
these are non-negotiables for you. The meditation and getting outside in nature, which I think are both amazing things. I too practice those things, and journaling. So I have what I call my MMJ practice: movement, meditation, journaling, and that's every morning.
I do my journaling at night. And that's my every night thing. And then sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'm like, what does that say? And it'll be like half a concept. It'll be like, I went to Cold Stone and got ice cream. And then I was putting together parts list. And you're like, they have nothing to do with each other. And that was not what happened. So I fall into a dream, and because I do it on my phone, I don't actually write it anymore. I just put it on my phone. And
I love it. Thank you for sharing those. Now, how did you navigate the challenges of growing a business while staying true to your deeper mission of promoting happiness and mental well-being?
That was easy, because it's just sharing who I am as a person. And I think when you are authentic to who you are as a person, that's when you'll find your mission. And just speaking to people, and candles and fragrance just naturally carry happiness. And one of the things I think that really helped us was knowing what my mission was. Because if a customer called and they said, I don't like this fragrance, my goal wasn't to be like, oh, I'm not going to spend any more money to take care of you, then go away. My goal was, wait a second, they're not happy. How can I help them create that happiness inside of them that they're searching for? Even if that took shipping back and forth a few samples, or not back and forth, but like shipping samples to them, getting some feedback and trying to figure out what they love, and then being able to create lifelong customers from those people because they were happy, yes, with their interaction with us and with the product that they eventually settled on.
The customer's happiness is most important, because without the customers, you don't have a business. So you got to do what you can to help them. There's points where you draw the line with certain things, but if you can keep your customers happy, that's your best form of advertising. That's free word of mouth. They'll tell their friends and the people in their communities about Shortie's candles, and they'll spread the word about it. So you want to keep your customers happy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're everything.
Yes. You have to make sure to ask your customers to share you. I think that too, because sometimes if you don't say, hey, share us, people are like, oh, I love you so much. And then it's their own little secret in their mind. And you're like, you're the best kept secret. Share.
That's right. That's right.
Sharing is caring. So what about friends?
What misconceptions do you think people have about mental health and happiness? And how do you hope to change that through your work, through your business?
I think some of the biggest misconceptions about mental health and happiness is that if you are not happy, then you are not mentally healthy. And I think that's a disconnect right there. I don't think that mental health means you're always happy. And I don't think if you find happiness in a moment, that means that's the only time you can be mentally healthy. So mentally healthy, in my opinion, in my mind, means respect toward you. It doesn't mean always being perfect. It doesn't mean always saying the kindest things to yourself. You can't dance around all day long and say, oh, I love life. I love life. I love life. But I do feel that you can find happiness even when you're going through different struggles. And
for sure,
one of my mentors, his name's Eric Edmeades, and he talks about this idea called the hindsight window. And that's another talk of his if you want to look it up on YouTube, find it. But he talks about being able to close that gap between when something bad happens and something in your interpretation of it becomes how you can see it as being a positive moment. And
interesting.
And I think that right there, having that tool in your tool belt can make you keep that happiness in your mind and help you reframe those negative situations that happen and just start looking for the moment when you see them as being positive.
Yeah, we cannot, it's impossible to be happy all the time. There are going to be moments of sadness or of frustration or whatever it is. But I think the key is to remember that whatever you're going through, whether it be hard times, difficult times, shitty times, or things didn't work out the way you expected them, there's always something good in that situation. There's always a silver lining in there in order for you to pull that out and take it forward in order to progress and grow and expand as a human.
I agree. I also think one of the biggest things too, when you are working with happiness, is just those simple words that you say to yourself and recognize them. Because I remember before I started any personal work for me, I didn't recognize that the words I was saying to myself were negative. I just honestly didn't recognize that. I would just say, just keep going, freaking keep going, just make it happen. And I was just a bully to myself. And I would say really unkind things, which I'm not going to repeat, but I would say these things. And if I ever catch myself saying anything negative right now, I've made a commitment to myself. I have sat down and I've made a commitment to myself in the mirror where I looked at her and I've said, I love you. And I am committing to you that I am no longer going to say those things again. And I believe it's the same as taking a marriage vow, except this one you can't get because she's going to always be looking back at you in the mirror.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
You can make that commitment to her, or him, or whomever you can say, we got this. We're a team.
Yeah.
We'll work together. And I'm not going to go down the dark side. And if I do, I'm going to flip it back.
Yeah, exactly. The self-talk is so important. It's everything we do. We speak so poorly to ourselves. And the key is to catch that, to have the awareness that you're doing it, first of all, and then to be able to catch it and flip the script on that, flip the narrative and turn it back around and speak lovingly to yourself.
Let me share this with you real quick. If you hold up your hand and then you've got your middle finger and your ring finger, if you pull them down, it looks like the Spider-Man hand. Put your thumb out. thumb out. That means I love
Yeah.
you in sign language.
There you go.
Self, and you can, I love you. But the coolest one is when you give it to your shadow. Because your shadow will give it right back to you. And your shadow can't.
Yes. I love that. Thank you for that.
Your shadow is always honest.
Yes, for sure. So, how can small business owners prioritize mental health while balancing the demands of entrepreneurship?
I believe that small business owners can balance mental health while still staying in their business by having a small little part of their day where they learn something for themselves. Where they, even if it's only 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, it doesn't have to be an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours a day. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to be in this crazy class. You don't have to travel to another country. There's so much information that's online. But when you can sit down and you can really learn about, or just dedicate 10 to 15 minutes a day to you. And some days that might mean turn on music and you just dance in your kitchen for 15 minutes by yourself. But that's
there you go.
And I would do that in conjunction with your meditation. So I would not say, oh, my meditation is my me time. It is. And that will help you grow tremendously.
For sure.
Your education, this right here, this will help you grow as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Georgia.
If you're a kindergartner, I've never thought of this before, but if you're a kindergartner in your business and you want to become a senior, or you want to graduate and you want to go to your business college, whatever your relationship in is that.
Yeah.
If every time you learn something new, and not just in your field, because you're going to be learning stuff in your field all day long because you're but if you can learn something outside that applies to you, that's that extra step. And when you're learning that stuff that applies to you, you're also analyzing the stuff that you're learning throughout the day. So
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So many people believe that entrepreneurship is just about making money, but you have built a purpose-driven, as we've discussed, company. How has leading with impact helped shape your success?
Leading with impact keeps us on the same path, and it helps everybody in our team do the right thing at the right moment. And then every single person on our team knows exactly what to do. And then our consumer knows how to work with us and how to trust. So leading with impact, I would say, would be just that, is really staying true and not heading in all these different directions and staying focused. I have this one acronym and it's called FOMO, right?
Yep.
Fear of missing out. Well, I believe that if we can change that and we can look at it just slightly different, that FOMO can be your best friend. And I believe that FOMO stands for focusing on my objectives.
I like that.
And when you can continue, when you can say, yes, I have FOMO, I'm focusing on my objectives. And what are your objectives? What is that impact you want to make? And then that's what carries you forward.
Beautiful. I love that. Focusing on my objectives. Shift the whole thing around fear of missing out. You're not missing out on anything. Focus on my objectives. I love it. Beautiful.
If I had a tattoo, that would probably be my tattoo. I don't own one, but if it would be like, I got FOMO, baby.
Georgia, as an award-winning entrepreneur, what would you say has been one of the most pivotal lessons in your journey of building the brand with impact?
One of the most pivotal lessons, let's see, I would say the simple fact that when you're here working toward whatever you feel driven to work toward, it has a purpose and it has a meaning and it's worthwhile. And when this story just popped in my head, but I'm pointing in the direction of where I was, like physically, I was south, and I was holding, it was after 2008. So it was like 2009, 2010. And we had decided our internet sales were dropping, and that had been our bread and butter. And I decided to create a multi-level marketing program. And I wrote the program. It took me a long time. We got all of these consultants that came in, and we had all of this stuff that we worked on. And we had photography, we had brochures, we had postcards, we had customers. We were building software to work with everything. It was incredible. And one day I went down south to a candle party. It was an office party. And when I get to this office party, there was 30 women that came in. And as I'm sitting there, my bully from 4th grade through 8th grade walked in. She didn't say a single thing to me.
Wow.
She sat in the back of the room and she stared at me. And I delivered this stunning presentation. I was so proud of myself. And these ladies were so excited. And everybody jumps up at the time to come. And this girl, she walks up to me. And I'm like, she's going to give me a hug. And she's going to say, hey, sorry, I was a jerk for all those years. And she looks at me. And she looks down at me. And she's taller than me. Everyone's taller than me. And she goes, this isn't yours. You didn't create this. You couldn't create something like this. You're a liar. And I'm going to make sure everyone in here knows that you're a liar. And I shrunk. I went,
oh my gosh.
No. And I vowed, I drove away just bawling my eyes out. I went to Reno and I vowed that I would never hold another candle party. And then within the next 3 months, I had shut down the entire program.
Holy shit.
But I didn't realize how worthwhile I was. Because I'd been practicing being this little girl on the playground who would go hide in the soccer net or go to the library or go to the office and say I was sick during recess because I didn't want to have to deal with this girl. And I did the same thing I'd been practicing for all those years. And we always practice this. We don't always, but if you find yourself in this limiting situation, it's for me, it was that I didn't recognize the worthiness of me or the product or what I was doing for other people. And I believe that when we can find that worthiness in ourselves, then we can go out there and we can spread it. And that's when things grow, when we believe in what we're doing. And when we can trust it, no matter what anybody else says. And I went to an ashram several years after that. I already had kids at that point. And I went down to this ashram and I hiked up to the top of this mountain. I sat down, I meditated. And for some weird reason, I actually did the 6-phase meditation when I was up there. And at this one, and I just did it quietly in my head. I didn't have anything to me. And I got to this one point where there's forgiveness. And I'd never forgiven like this before. But everybody just came into me. It was like everyone was just like walking in at me. And I forgave that girl. And when I could forgive her, it didn't mean I forgot. It just, I separated myself from the control that I had given her on my life. And when I could separate myself from her and I could forgive her and let her dissipate out of my realm of influence, that was the moment when our company turned around. Forgiveness was the key.
Wow. Forgiveness, it is. That's the thing about forgiveness. It's not even for the other person. It's for you. In order to free take the weight off your shoulders, remove the chains, whatever it is, it's for you. It's not for the other person. You don't have to go to the person and say, I forgive you. You can forgive them from within and send them on their way with love, whatever, and just say that you forgive them. And that's okay. They don't need to know. It's for you. That's the most important thing, is to realize that the forgiveness is for you. And it can shift everything when you let go, because you're carrying around all of this anger and frustration or whatever it is. For what? That person doesn't feel it. That person has no idea what you're going through internally. So you have to do it for you.
I had never really thought about it in just like you do forgiveness for you, but you're spot on. Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's about freeing yourself. Otherwise, you're going to carry around that weight for what? You're the only one who's going to suffer through it, not them. Let it go. It's not worth it. And I'm not saying, oh, get over it, let it go, because it's not easy. It is absolutely not easy. But when you look at it that way and think, the only person being harmed here is me, why am I going to do this, to continue to do this to myself? It's not worth it.
Yes.
Georgia, how do you think women entrepreneurs can build not just a business, but a legacy that creates opportunities for future generations?
I think the best way to create a legacy is to continue going, is to keep going no matter what. It is so easy to say, I'm freaking tired. I'm so tired. I'm done. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to deal with that situation. I don't want to see that girl again. I don't want to hold another candle party. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. But just keep going and stay focused. If you can when we focus on one thing, when we focus on our objectives,
FOMO.
When we practice our FOMO, our positive FOMO, then that's when things grow. I heard this term. It's the women in the red dress. And it's spoken about by a man named Alex Hormozy. So shout out to him. But he talks about this concept. And it's mainly, so the woman in the red dress, the idea is you have your beautiful woman that's with you. And then you see another woman over there in a red dress and you're like, oh, wait, but maybe she's better. So we're going to go after all of these different things. And when we apply it to business, then it's going, oh, okay, I love to make candles. Oh, but someone else is selling shampoo. I should make shampoo as well. Oh, and then that person is making this other thing, and I should make that too. And it's when we apply when we start going after all of these other ideas and these other concepts, then that's what takes our focus off of our main goal. And that's what can lessen our legacy, because for years and years, Shortie's Candles was a little pot on a stove. And it got to be 2 pots, and then 3 pots, and 4 pots, and then a big wax melter, and then a small pot again. And it just fluctuated. And then now it's a gigantic warehouse behind this wall. And we've got a whole bunch of employees back there working because we stayed focused.
Love it.
It's built with focus.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What is one piece of advice that you would give to women entrepreneurs who are just starting out and maybe feel incredibly overwhelmed by the challenges ahead of entrepreneurship?
One of the things that I love to do is I love to connect with this girl, this lady, this me in the future. And I will talk to her often, and I will ask her, is this a good idea? Is that a good idea? Should I do this? Should I do that? How do you feel about this situation? Does it need me to put my time and energy into it? Or does it need me to walk away? Am I going to remember it in 5 years? Is it going to make a difference? And I would say that being able to connect with her and have that relationship with somebody, and yes, it's just a figment of my imagination. And I'm not saying get all esoteric or anything, but when we can connect with something in the future, we can see where we're headed. And I think that is a really nice way. And I also think that we should respect ourselves and make sure that if you feel like working your tail off, then do it, but still respect yourself and get your sleep. Still respect yourself and drink your water. Still respect yourself and do the tiny little things that need to be done. And delegation is a big thing as well. And I do think that girls are a little bit better at delegating than men are.
Yes. Yeah.
I could be wrong on that, but
no, I think you're right.
I think when it's time to bring somebody on to help you, bring that person on. So you might say you're going to spend X amount, depending on where you live and what the product you're working with is. But when you put money out there, it can come back to you. Oh, this other thing just keeps popping in my mind. So one of the things that I do, I think I have 43 on there right now, but I have little reminders that come up in my phone all day long. And they're little reminders, and they say, you are worthwhile. And what you're doing, you're headed in the right direction. Keep going. FOMO. Yeah, I have a whole list of them, and I can share that list with you if anybody wants that list. I'm more. That's
amazing.
But
little calendar reminders that pop off, and I'll give you alarms
every single day. And I'll have
amazing.
This one that's my favorite comes on my very last one is at 9:30 at night, and it says, "What could go right?" And that one, because at bedtime, I set it at 9:30 because that used to be my kids' bedtime, and now they go to bed on their own. But it was so frustrating. I'd want to hit myself. Just lie down, close your eyes. And then I wrote this little reminder, and if I could look at it as what could go right, then everything seemed to work out a little bit more positively.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now, you've worked internationally with youth. What inspired you to focus on empowering the next generation? And what would you say has been one of the most rewarding moments from doing that work?
Empowering our youth is so important. And the reason why I have wanted to, I reached out to the Girl Scouts yesterday to see if I can have some of the Girl Scouts come in here and I can take them through and teach them women in manufacturing, or help them see that they have a place with machinery. The other day, I had a forklift trainer come in, and almost all of our staff is female. We spent an entire day. We didn't produce anything. All we did was learn how to drive the forklift. We were on
Amazing.
forklift all day. And you know what's happening now? A truck will show up. We'll have a driver show up and they're like, hey, we got a pallet. And usually we'll be like, hey, driver, can you just take it off for us? You could use our forklift. And now everyone's, I'll take it off. I'll take it off. That's so cool. So when we empower those people that are younger than us, we can teach them that we wish we knew back then. Those tiny little lessons that would have empowered us back then, we can teach them that. And I think
I love it.
So key. I went into a classroom not too long ago, and I was talking to these kids, and this one girl was sitting in the very front of the classroom, and she kept looking at me so skeptically. Yeah, I don't know. But it was all about talking about your profession. I was talking about being an entrepreneur, and everyone was like, I'm going to be a firefighter, and you can do whatever you want to. That's totally cool. This one girl was sitting there, and I looked at her and I said, do you want to know something? She said, uh-huh. I said, you know those little like hangy straps that are inside of your shirt, and then you can use them to hang on your hanger, but they're always really annoying, stuck, and sometimes they flip out and you just hate them? She's like, yeah. I said, you can cut them off. And she goes,
a light bulb went off.
You can do something other than what society has told you is available for you. And we don't recognize that as a kid. We go to school, and my son's graduating from 5th grade. And he gets up and everyone's, I'm going to be this when I grow up. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be this. And my son gets up and he says, hi, says his name. And then he says, when I grow up, I'm going to be a billionaire.
There you go.
Everybody busted out laughing. And I was like, yeah! The whole crowd went crazy. Everyone went nuts for this little kid because he had this idea that was totally outside. And for me, I'm sitting there, I'm like, what does he want to be? I had never asked. I'm bad mom. I don't know what he wants to be. I'm going to be a billionaire. All right.
I love it.
Do it, bud. We got it.
Make it happen. That's it. It's possible. It is all possible. Absolutely. And the more we instill that into our kids, the better off they'll be. We have to keep reiterating that and conditioning that into them, that anything is possible. They can do anything they want in this life.
Yes. I was speaking to some kids in Croatia. And as I'm talking to these kids, I'm watching all of these children. They're all teenagers. And I'm actually talking to them, not about entrepreneurship, but I'm talking to them about how to say no. Because when I was younger, I never learned how to say no. But I didn't know that I could say no. But I remember I was talking about practice earlier. Like I practiced all this stuff with this girl who was my bully. When I was in 3rd grade, my mom took me to the beach and we sat on this log and she put sprinkles in her hand. And she said, hey, do you know what drugs are? I said, no. And she said, they're really bad things you don't want in your body. Do you want to try them? And she said, pretend I'm going to offer them to you. And then tell me what you would say if you didn't want them. And so she said, would you like some of my drugs? And I said, no, thank you. I just brushed my teeth. She said, perfect. I was 8. When I was 13, my friend and I, we went camping with her family, and she met these boys, and we went out and we snuck out of camp that night. We get to their camp and they're like, hi, want to smoke heroin with us? And I went, no, I just brushed my teeth. It just came out. And when it came out, I felt really foolish. She walked off with them, and her life is so different than mine.
Wow.
She made decisions that she shouldn't have made that night. And because I had practiced something. And I told this story to the youth. And everybody you could just see it. Everyone was kind of like, but later that day, this girl's dad came up to me and said, my daughter came and told me about your talk today. And I wanted to tell you thank you. And we've had a whole lot of discussions because of your talk. And then another girl who wasn't even in there came up to me 3 or 4 days later. And she said to me, can you help me come up with a phrase that I can say to people?
Wow. The power of sharing stories.
Yeah, the power of sharing with our youth. So much good can happen when we share, teach, and we inspire, and we lift them up.
Yeah,
have a voice.
Absolutely.
And when we stifle that voice, then we're stifling the ideas and the creativity for our future.
For sure. For sure.
Or
powerful.
uplifting it. We have,
There you go. That's right. That's right.
and that's why we're
So,
working with children.
so then in your opinion, what role does mentorship play in helping successful entrepreneurs, and how have mentors impacted your journey?
I think mentorship is really good because it allows the other person who's being mentored, it actually benefits both of you. It allows other people who are being mentored a way to see something around a challenge. If you've got a brick wall up, you can see how you can either go through it, under it, over it, and it gives you some type of extra power and a different way of viewing things. And then you can go, oh, wait, oh, yeah, I could do it like that. So it's another roadway and it's another uplifting model to be able to help move you forward. So I think that it massively benefits the mentee.
Mentee, yep.
Mentee.
Yep.
But also for the mentor, I think it's really good because it helps them go over their own past and then see the different ways that they can do things better, and then they can improve as well as they move forward.
Beautiful. Now, as I mentioned off the top, you are a best-selling author. I would love for you to speak a little bit about your book. Can you tell us the title, subject matter, and what that experience was like putting that out into the world for people to read?
So my book is a compilation book. So I wrote one chapter in it, and it's called Life for Women. And mine was sharing some personal growth stories. And in that, taking the time to sit down and go through what I've learned as time has gone on is it's writing a book is being a mentor to yourself.
Yeah.
Really sitting down and analyzing what you were going through. And for me personally, I had a tough time because I was sharing things that I wasn't sure would be acceptable to share. And I think that's a big misconception because we have so many things in our mind that we block from anybody else knowing. We never talk about, we never tell anybody, and it just lives in here. And when we can get it out, not only does it free you, and you can see how accepting and loving the world truthfully is toward you and your experiences, but then you can also see how your experiences help other people. Because there's a lot of times where you'll sit there and you're like, my experiences don't really mean anything. It's just this little stuff that happened to me as a little girl. Like, I'm just a little girl. But you know what? I'm only 5 feet tall, so I might still be a little girl, but I am very worthwhile. And every single person out there is just as worthwhile as I am. And they have some incredible stories that if they are able to share them, they will make a massive difference for people on the other side. Are those stories emotional to share? Yes, they are. Especially if we've held them inside for so long.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very freeing.
Now, I want to jump in to the whole TEDx thing, because this is actually how you and I got connected and met, was through Melissa Keenan talking about your TEDx talk. And we connected through that. So getting a TEDx talk, of course, is a big deal. And it's a big dream and a goal for a lot of people out there. Was this something that was a bucket list item for you, something that you really wanted to achieve?
It was something I really wanted to achieve. I didn't fully understand my idea at first. I didn't understand how what I wanted to talk about was an idea. I think that was one of my biggest roadblocks. But then once I could put a word to it, and the word was mattering. So once I could actually apply all of my stories and all of my thoughts and all of my points to this one topic, then I could say, hey, this is my idea. And I think that was the biggest thing that took me over that hump, and people said yes.
Yeah. And so your TEDx talk was called The Important Silent Secret to Connect with a Teen. Can you share a little bit about your talk and what the inspiration was behind writing that talk?
I can. Will I know? Goodbye. So that talk was a story about me when I was younger. And when I was younger, I didn't think that I mattered at all. And I would interpret the way people were saying things to me, not as they were protecting themselves or they were trying to move the family through situations or they were trying to get to a positive place. I just thought I wasn't worthwhile. I thought that I was the problem. And that wasn't the case. It was just my misunderstanding of it. And now I can say that. but I couldn't have said that back then. And I wasn't listened to. I wasn't heard. I didn't feel like I had anybody to talk to or confide in. And I felt really like if you were to just squish me out of the world, everything would be better. And so I tried to squish myself out of the world. And I ended up taking a bottle of pills one night. And afterward, I was laying in bed and I had this really strong feeling that I should go in and just say goodbye to my mom because I was a problem. So if I was a problem, then I would be creating a problem for her if I didn't say goodbye. And I'm really grateful I had that thought. But I did. I went in and I woke her up and I just said, hey, I wanted to tell you what I did and I love you and this isn't your fault. So bye. And I went to walk out.
Wow.
And she stood up and she said, I love you too. And then she took me to the hospital and I just threw up everything for hours. And then I had to rebuild who I was. And I also had to get past this idea of wanting to do that to myself again, if that makes any sense. In that, moving past that, in that experience, I realized how important life truthfully is. And I didn't realize it right away. It took years. And it actually all came out after I lost my memory in 2014, when I started working on myself. Then I started to go back and go, oh yeah, this happened. And these were my thoughts when that happened. And really start to recognize things. And then there were moments where I went, oh my gosh, I am worthwhile. And when that epiphany hit, those were those moments that I then watched everything improve. My relationship with my husband would get better, with my kids would get better, with our employees would get better. Our employees would stay longer because I knew I was worthwhile and they knew they were worthwhile and I could share that beauty with them. So am I grateful that I went through that when I was younger? In some weird way, I am grateful for lessons that I've learned from it. But that is what I spoke about at the TEDx talk. And I spoke about mattering and how everybody needs to matter and how one of the big ways to help other people feel like they matter is by listening to them. So with our children, being able to allow them the space in our heads so they can talk through what's happening in their heads, so they can see that they matter. So it's the importance of silence, our silence, to listen to them. And that was
beautiful. Georgia, thank you so much for your vulnerability and for sharing that. That's an incredible story. And just, I don't even know what else to say. I'm just grateful that you're still here and that your mother did take you to the hospital. And this was the inspiration to move forward and it helped you grow. And these experiences, like I said before, as shitty as they may seem at the time and as hard as they may seem at the time, it sometimes is one of the best things that could happen to us. And it helps propel us forward in life. So thank you so much for sharing that story, Georgia. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking.
What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
This really cool cape I have. It's my superhero cape. They call me Captain Shortie. What would be my superpower would probably be my ability to connect with people and to, I love to feel like I belong. It's one of my most important things in life is to feel like I belong and to feel like I'm seen. And I love to help other people feel that way. And I believe that since the first day that we were at farmer's market, or even the very first candle that we produced, it was helping other people feel seen and heard. And if that meant someone would come in and they'd say, oh, next week when you come down here, I need 3 lemongrass candles, that would be the situation. But it was listening to them, following through with what I had said, and then also just loving on people. People, one of the biggest things is people love to be heard. And we used to do free local delivery, and it was a lot. There was one day, I'm going to tell you the story real quick because it's funny. But it was Christmas Eve. And I'm driving this truck with my sister to make all of these last minute deliveries. And we were totally Santa Claus and elves. And we were like everything, little red tiny truck. And we go and we make all these deliveries with one delivery left, and we end up on this dirt road, and we drive way out on this dirt road. We pass all these houses, and we're like, that one's really long. That one's really dark. And we can't find this house. And finally my sister's like, we got to go back. And it's raining, and we're on this muddy road. And so we turn around, and right as we are almost back on the concrete, on one side, it was just a sheer cliff. And there's a running river down right below it. And there was just a little tiny dip like that. My wheels got caught and slid off of this. And I'm down there on the side, and I'm going, and I can't get back on. My sister's like, Nick is my husband. And then she's like, Nick, he's the boy I made the camera for. And she's like, call him. And I'm like, I'm not going to call him. We're going to get out. So we rip a bush out of the ground. We try to get traction. She's pushing, I'm pushing. We're covered in mud. We're trying to get this truck back up onto the road. We can't get this truck out. It's all for these local deliveries. And finally, Nick calls. And my sister had been like, don't have 4-wheel drive. And I'm like, no. And I'd gone and I checked the wheels. I'm like, we don't have 4-wheel drive. I'm sorry. But Nick calls and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Help. You're going to have to come get us or something. I don't know. And he goes, did you put it in 4-wheel drive? I'm like, yeah, this truck doesn't have 4-wheel drive. And he goes, look at the dash. There's a little button. And you just go 4-wheel drive. I was like, oh. So I looked down and I go, click. And I pulled right out. So like 45 minutes of wrestling with the mud. So but that ended our local delivery. And that one really long, dark house, that was the house we delivered to, and the people weren't even there, and they didn't even need their stuff for Christmas Eve. But I mean, anyway. But we got out, and I ended the local delivery. But I realized how important it was to connect with people, because so many people wanted to be heard. When I would deliver things to people, we had a customer call. It was her daughter who called, and she had, from the time when we started delivering candles to her, until she passed away, she ended up being diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. And he had been a professor at our college here, just an incredible woman. And I loved visiting with her. But every time I would go visit her, she would talk. She would just talk. And she felt, and I would stand on her porch for an hour and just listen. And then I'd leave and I'd come back a few weeks later and deliver more stuff to her. And we just had this great time. I was the last person that she asked her daughter to have come visit her. And she passed away.
Wow.
And all she could do was move her finger, one finger, to write a little block of sand. And I think that if you can connect with your customers, make them feel heard, make them feel like they matter, that's what grows your company. That's where the beauty comes out. And I think that is such a powerful moment when you guys.
It is, for sure. That's all anyone wants, is to be seen and heard. It's a very basic human need. And everybody just wants to feel seen and heard. It doesn't take that much to do that, to listen, to acknowledge. It's really not that hard to do, but so many people struggle with doing that. It's a basic human need, and we need to do more of that for people.
I agree.
Because you don't know what someone else is going through. You have no idea.
That's exactly it, is you have no idea. I was walking through the grocery store. This was several years ago. And there was 2 elderly ladies, and they were standing together looking at some stuff. And I just smiled. I just naturally smile at people. So I, of course, gave this lady a big, huge, gigantic smile. And one of the ladies said to her friend, she said, oh my gosh, that girl just smiled at me in this grocery store. And I said, and I'll give you a hug too. And she goes, okay. I gave this woman a hug. And I held her so close, and she started crying in my arms.
Wow.
The most beautiful thing, because she felt heard, seen, and loved, and like she mattered.
Yeah.
I could just feel her in my arms right now. It was so amazing.
That's powerful. Very powerful. Georgia, speaking of success, how do you define that word? What does success mean to you?
Success means that you're helping the people around you in the fashion that they feel they need help, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
And it also means that when you go home at the end of the day, you feel like you have the things that you need as well. And I think that success comes from relationships. And I believe that you can have all of the money in the world, but if you don't have anyone to share it with, then it can feel pretty lonely. And I don't think that feels like success. I think that it feels like you've got a lot of money and you're looking for something
Yeah.
to spend it on, but you don't have that feeling of success. And I think you can build that around you with your employees, with your customers, with your family members, with your vendors, with your friends. When you can build that, I think that is what creates success.
Beautiful. What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Empowerment means that my cape works and I can fly.
Love it.
I think empowerment is something that you impose on yourself. I think that it means that you've given yourself permission to do something.
I like the original. Your cape works. I love it.
I think self-permission. So I watched this YouTube video the other day. There's a little girl, everyone's probably seen it, and her dad is talking to her, and she's got lipstick all over her face, and she's calling it yipstick or something like that. And her dad says, where did you buy it? And she says, Home Depot. And that's the big thing that everybody loves. But the one thing I loved about that commercial, or that little video, was that he says, who did you ask for permission to use it? And she says, I asked myself. And when I watched that, it dawned on me. We've been told to ask other people for permission for everything for our entire lives. Mm-hmm. This hit me like a brick like 3 weeks ago. And if you can, and I created a new reminder in my phone that says, I ask myself for permission to ... Or I give myself permission to ... That's what it says. I give myself permission to ... We can give ourselves permission. We don't have to go somewhere and ask somebody else for permission for anything. And when we can give it to ourselves, I believe that's when we empower ourselves to move forward with our dreams.
Love it. Okay, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section. So the next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3 word answer type thing, okay?
Okay. I can do that.
How would you describe yourself? I know you can. How would you describe yourself in one word?
Short.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
My smile.
If you could teach the world one thing, what would that be?
That you're worthwhile.
What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
I love the fact that I can change my thought process quickly.
Okay. What is one thing you want but cannot buy with money?
A birthday party. A really nice birthday party with all of your friends.
Okay. That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I created a bonus question that I did not send you ahead of time. Georgia, if other people could use 3 words to describe you, what would you want those 3 words to be?
Positive, loving, and energetic.
Who in your life has had the biggest impact on you and why?
I think the girl in the mirror, because she's always trying to up-level herself. And there are so many different teachers that she's learned from. So it's so easy because when you first asked this, so many ideas and thoughts just popped in my mind. And so many from this company or from this teacher and that kind of thing. So all of those people, of course, pop in my mind. But I would say that girl in the mirror that says every morning, you can do this.
That's powerful. I love that answer. That's beautiful. What is one lesson that your career has taught you that you think everybody should learn at some point in their lives?
That your ideas can change anything and everything. And when you look at, and if you can't find an idea, notice what bothers you. And if you notice what bothers you and you find a solution to that, is what carries the world forward, is when we notice what bothers us. And I just don't find it in your spouse, but like toilet seat down. But yeah, I would say just note, and I hate to say it like that because it sounds like you're looking at things negatively, but it's a manufacturing idea of noticing what bothers you. And it's a way to create positive change. So if you just notice something in yourself, instead of being like, I should go jump off a bridge, because that's not the case. It's, I need to learn about this. So then dive into it and learn about that. Then that's when you move forward.
If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
That one? Because it stumped me. I got nothing.
Okay. That's all right. You don't have to. That's okay. Georgia, what is your why?
Now I'm still on that back question. What is my why? My why, I think my why has changed over time. So when I very first started, my why was just having fun with this boy I just met. And then being able to connect with people and really enjoying that people would keep showing up. actually Lisa and Leo, I won't say their last names, but they are the very first people who ever purchased from us at Farmers Market, and they still buy from us today. So
Wow.
my why is that I understand what fragrance does for people and for what's going on in their minds. Know how important it is for creating peace in people's minds. So someone can go to work and have a crazy, insane day, and they can road rage home, and they can put on a lemon blueberry twist candle when they get home. Oh, finally, yes, I can just relax. And sometimes they walk in and they're like, the dog needs to go for a walk and the cat needs to be fed. And then there's all these kids everywhere. But the second they turn on that fragrance, it's just this pattern interrupt that says you can do something different.
How do you come up with the scent ideas for your candles? I'm curious.
It depends. A lot of times I smell everything. Like my son was explaining this yesterday to somebody else, and he was like, yeah, I hate it because I'll get like a big old like banana float and my mom doesn't want to bite. She just wants to smell it. It's so weird. So, I just like to smell things, and they don't like it because I'm like, that tree has flowers. Stop. My husband had to turn around. I'm like, just for a quick second, it'll be real fast. I promise, I promise. And 15 minutes later, everyone's out of the truck and we've climbed a tree and I've gotten 18 flowers and I'm just so happy. And they're like, can we get out of the tree yet, lady? And that's a lot of how I get my fragrances is I experience them, or customers will write in and they're like, this is so amazing. I would really love this. And then that's a good idea. We hadn't thought of that, or that kind of thing.
So I'm curious then with let's just use the banana float or the flowers as an example. You smell these, you pick up on these scents. How do you distill that down and create the scent for the candle from your sensory?
We work with a perfumer. So we send everything off and then we say, hey, we need this. And then we'll get it back. And then I will take that flower and I'll smell it and I'll compare. So like right behind me, we have a whole nursery in the front of the warehouse. Like you walk in like, I'm in a greenhouse because I have all of these plants. I'm growing a plumeria and jasmine and honeysuckle and gardenia and lemongrass. And I've got all of these plants everywhere because I need to know what they smell like. And so that's how we work with it. I defamed a lilac plant in the Home Depot parking lot because I'm like, which one's right?
One. Okay. If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
Oh, this is easy for me. Kendra Scott. I would talk to Kendra Scott because she started, I feel, in the same manner that I have. And then she has grown her jewelry business to this extremely gigantic corporation. And I would just love to know a little bit more about her journey.
Okay. You go back.
Hook me up.
I do not. I could write her name down and see if I can connect with her. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
It would be to forgive sooner.
Okay. Lastly, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your corner of the world, your people, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart? My
last 30 seconds, it would sound like my voice. And it would be me saying, this world has so much to offer, and there is so much beauty in it when you can see the beauty in yourself. And when you're able to turn around and find any of those little moments where it creates any type of unpleasantry inside of your mind, you can actually pull those out. So it would be, I would say something about meditate and feel any negativity leaving your body. And when you can feel that, and then watch it leave the world, watch it leave existence. And replace those feelings of negativity with positivity. And when you can do that, and when you can smile, and when you can notice that nobody else is judging you, because if you think about it, you're not spending all your time judging everybody else. So nobody's spending their time judging you. And when you can be able to reframe things into a positive manner, then everything becomes more beautiful and you open up to people better and you have a better experience when you have those human connections, because you realize that you guys are actually the same. You're not. And if you are feeling like someone is judging you, they don't know what you want to feel like. So they're not judging you because you don't feel like that. They're just there with you, and they love you for who you are.
Beautiful. Georgia, thank you so much for taking and making the time to be here with me today, for sharing a little bit about your story, your journey, the beautiful light you put out into the world through all the work you're doing and all the people you're helping. I appreciate you. This has been a beautiful conversation. I am grateful to call you a friend and to have you as a member of the Empowerography community. Thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you, Brad. This has been wonderful.
My honor and my pleasure. Once again, my name is Brad Welsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Georgia Vanderville. She is an award-winning entrepreneur, a best-selling author, a TEDx speaker. She's known for her international work with youth, as well as the women-owned small business community. She's also the owner and founder of Shortie's Candle Company. Thank you so much, Georgia. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at viseuphoria.ca, follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast, and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.